So I've gotten to the point that a lot of keyboard enthusiasts have gotten to where I have a lot of keyboards. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go through all of them, explain what makes each keyboard unique, and why I have them. The first keyboard we're going to look at is my WASD V2. It has Cherry MX Brown switches, and it's my daily driver. I got this keyboard when I built my desktop back in 2014. I wanted to give my desktop a Portal theme, and this keyboard was customized to match the keyboards that are found around the Aperture Labs in the game. The yellow highlights you can see throughout this keyboard spell out Adrian Shepard. Adrian Shepard was the protagonist of Half-Life Blue Shift, and this was an Easter egg that Valve put into the game Portal. Now, originally WASD only sold the V2 in a black case. To match the keyboards in game, I needed a white case. So what I did is I spray painted it, and there's actually a guide on Reddit that I created for how to do that for this keyboard. However, since that time, WASD has started selling white-cased keyboards. So I ordered one of their white cases, and now it has an actually white plastic case, which is good because I didn't use primer, and it was really starting to wear away at the edges. As you can see, instead of Windows keys, I have the Aperture Science logo as my super keys. As well, up above the indicator lights is an Aperture Laboratories sticker. And as one last touch for this keyboard, you can see I have a property tag on the back, which makes it pretty legit. So I thought it'd be fun to have a retro-looking keyboard made for work, and having been very happy with how my WASD V2 has served me over the years, I had this WASD V3 made. Externally, there's really no difference between the two keyboards. However, there are some pretty cool improvements under the hood, including RGB LEDs, which I have programmed to be green. For this V3, I chose Cherry MX Clear switches over MX Browns to try and achieve a better tactile feel. The font I chose for these is Courier New, and I've put it in big letters centered to give it a bit of a retro vibe, and similar to my V2, I have custom super keys and a custom logo above my indicator lights. This is a keyboard I very much look forward to using and eventually having in my lab. With the launch of Ryzen 5000, which is the product I work on, I really want to build a new PC for gaming. Though it's generally not my style, I want to have fun with it and go full RGB. But quite frankly, most RGB keyboards aren't interesting to me. But one RGB keyboard stands out, and that would be the Wooting One. The Wooting One's claim to fame, along with the Wooting 2, are its FlareTech optical switches, which give each key an analog functionality. You can map each key to a standard controller input and have full analog control, which is super interesting. With RGB, a 10 keyless design, and linear switches, this keyboard is so far from my typical tastes. But I really like it nonetheless, and I think it'll be perfect for the application I plan to use it for. Moving to something a bit more old school, this is my 1992 IBM Model M. This keyboard originally came with an IBM PS2 PC that my family would have had at one point. However, all that seems to be around now is the monitor and the keyboard. My family's actually had a few Model M's lying around, so I'm incredibly lucky, and this is the one I've ended up with. Of course, the Model M is known for its buckling spring key switches, which both sound and feel amazing. And with this keyboard having a detachable SDL cable, which newer M's do not have, I'm able to easily use this Soar's converter, which is built into a USB cable, making it very convenient. Of course, the Model M was not the first buckling spring keyboard, and in fact, it is a cost-reduced version of the Model F. Unlike the Model M, the Model F's buckling springs are capacitive-based, and they also have a little bit of a higher pitched sound to them. This particular keyboard came with my grandfather's 1984 IBM PC XT, which is the computer he used back when he was the chief engineer at RCA Astro Electronics, which makes it really cool. And I still have that PC up and running around today, and it is the reason that I am never going to convert this to a modern standard. This keyboard stays with that computer. I have restored this keyboard, replacing the foam and repainting the backplate underneath the keys, and it is a terrible task that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. Now, while I can't use my old Model F keyboard with a modern computer, there is a Model F that I can. Joe, from Model F Labs, has been leading a project for the past few years to create new Model F keyboards. This project has been super amazing, and while this keyboard may look ancient, it's actually just a few months old. While the key sound is very similar to my XT Model F, the key feel is much lighter to type on. As well, the layout is much more usable on a modern system. This keyboard is made out of cast zinc and weighs 8.5 pounds, or in metric units, 4,000 millilograms. I'm very excited to have this keyboard. While nowadays you can buy Model M keyboards from Unicomp and Model F keyboards from Model F Labs, IBM, as far as I know, doesn't actually make any keyboards nowadays, and in fact they sold off their personal computing line to Lenovo. Lenovo still makes ThinkPads today, along with various accessories, and this keyboard is one of those accessories. It's really nothing special aside from the track point, and I got this one open box from Amazon. It was pretty badly damaged right around here, and I've glued it back. You can still kind of see it, but it's not too bad. And the USB cord it came with was mangled, but it's detachable, and obviously right now I don't have the USB cord attached. I think there is a wireless version because there's a little LED light here and a button that seems like it should be for pairing down here, but this is a completely wired model. Now the reason I have this keyboard is to go with an old ThinkCenter I have, and there's actually another video on my channel where I go through some upgrades I've done on that system, and I thought this would be a nice keyboard to go along with it. Well, that last ThinkPad keyboard was not attached to a ThinkPad. This ThinkPad keyboard is. Now, this ThinkPad is one of Lenovo's earlier ThinkPads. This particular ThinkPad is a model T61 made by Lenovo. It is one of the earlier Lenovo designs. IBM ThinkPads, and to some extent early Lenovo ThinkPads, were known for having excellent keyboards. And in fact, this keyboard feels really nice. In fact, this isn't even the original keyboard for this laptop. So there were 3 brands that made keyboards for this laptop, and NMB is kind of known for having the nicest feeling. So I have one of those that I've put into here, and it feels really nice. However, I do have another laptop keyboard that does put this keyboard to shame. Is my Acer Aspire 5734Z, and it has the nicest keyboard I've ever come across on a laptop. Not only do you have a full numpad here, which is a luxury on laptops, but the keys feel absolutely amazing. Now, I got this laptop my second year of high school in 2011. I bought it used off a friend, and I continued to use it until I graduated college in 2019. And I've gotten a lot of typing, a lot of note-taking done on this, and it's been absolutely fantastic for that. Now, the funny thing about this computer is it comes from 2010, which is a time when $500 could not get you a decent laptop. And yet, Acer managed it. They had to cut some corners, some kind of weird corners. So this keyboard is actually bowed out a bit, and that's because it's not actually screwed in. In fact, you can just pop this right off, and the keyboard comes right out, which is a neat party trick and really freaks people out. But there's a lot of weird things that's questionable. I could do a whole video on this laptop, and in fact it's actually featured in my oddly most popular YouTube video, which is actually really boring, but whatever. But for now, it's got an amazing keyboard. Moving beyond laptops, Microsoft introduced the Surface series of tablets, which Google tried to emulate with the Pixel C. It wasn't very successful, but it is a nice Android tablet, and it has a really cool keyboard that is part of the case. You see, you slide this off, and it just magnetically attaches, and it lifts the whole thing up. There's nothing on the back to support it. Now, there's not really much more to say about this keyboard. It's just a scissor switch Bluetooth keyboard, but I think the design is really cool, and I really wish more tablets would use something like this. Since I've been showing other computers with built-in keyboards, might as well show you the Commodore 64, right? Now, the keyboard on the Commodore 64 is adorned with absolutely beautiful double-shot keycaps. Unfortunately, the key feel does not hold up. The keys are very mushy, spongy, and very stiff. I definitely don't enjoy typing on this, and while there's a company that makes Cherry MX-based keyboards so that you can just slot directly into here, I feel like I have to keep it original. So this is a fun computer to use, but definitely not fun to type on. So the last keyboard I have to show is this keyboard. It's got these little tack switches. The thing's very small, feels a bit like a controller, and it has LEDs that are so bright that I've just taped over them with electrical tape. Originally I got this for use with my Raspberry Pi years ago, but recently I've been using it for if I'm using my computer but I feel lazy and I want to lay back. This thing's very nice for that. So I hope this video was at least mildly entertaining, and I guess I've kind of become one of those keyboard people who have way too many keyboards. But I think they're all nice. Well, they're at least all interesting in my opinion.